Hi everyone, this is Arcadius and welcome back to Naval. Today we'll be reviewing the American battleship New York. Now this is actually a really powerful ship, however she does have some tendencies and specs that kind of make her kind of less than the top battleship. And you'll understand what I mean in a minute. But let's just take a look at her basic stats. She has 49,200 health, 30% torpedo resistance, which is actually pretty good. Maximum of 14 inches of armor, only 12 inches on the broadside. It looks like 14 inches on the turret faces. She has okayish armor. She's actually relatively citadeled pretty easily. So keep that in mind. You actually do not want to broadside her. This is one of the few low tier American battleships you do not want to broadside. So she has 14-inch guns. She has 10 of them arranged in 5 double turrets, as you can see, 2 in the front, 2 in the stern, and 1 in the middle. The gun angles for this middle turret are absolutely terrible. Most time, if you want a good ricochet angle, you're only going to be using the fore and aft mounted turrets. But if you're free to use the fifth turret, then might as well. The guns themselves can shoot out to 17.3 kilometers. Your secondaries can shoot out to 4.4 kilometers. You have a bunch of secondaries in this middle part here. None in the stern, so you only have what? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you have 3 secondaries on each side. Yeah, you don't have very strong secondary armament, or at least in the upgraded hull. If you use the non upgraded hull, you have quite a few more. So secondaries on this hull are probably going to be better than the ones on the upgraded hull. Speed is a sluggish 21 knots, so you're not going to get anywhere fast. And AA is actually pretty respectable. You're still not going to be able to knock down enough aircraft to make a difference, though. The ship that this fights for number one battleship at this tier is Congo. Now, the advantages and disadvantages of both of them is Congo has good speed, but only and good range, but only has 8 14-inch guns, where New York has an extra gun turret. She lacks the speed, so you either get more guns or you get more range and speed. Personally, I like speed and maneuverability and range, so that's why I like Congo better, but Texas does have a pretty strong broadside at this tier. So let's take her out and see what we can do today. Alright, here we ourselves a game. 1 carrier, 1 battleship, a bunch of cruisers, and a bunch of destroyers. So this is actually not a very good game for me. New York is best used against other battleships, and that's about it. She doesn't have the accuracy for destroyers or cruisers, and she doesn't have the speed, maneuverability, or AA to take on carriers very well. She only has the gun broadside to take on battleships, which she can do relatively well. So I'm actually deciding whether or not I actually need armor piercing or high explosive. We're going to try armor piercing and see what happens. But I might switch over to high explosive. I do have health buffs and speed buffs applied as well at this time, so keep that in mind. And I'm going to do similar what I did with Wyoming. I'm going to get close to the match, and then I'm going to take a turn, because if I turn now, it won't matter. Alright. So I would like to shoot my guns. There we go. As you can see, accuracy is kind of all over the place. But I was able to get a solid hit there. Alright, so we're just trying to hit this Omaha. Ooh, that's actually pretty good accuracy. Yep, and I can overmatch her with 14-inch guns, so it doesn't matter what kind of angle she has. The only ships you will probably not be able to overmatch very easily are other battleships. That doesn't mean it's impossible, but not very likely. And there we go, right through the nose. And we have a poor Yubari here. So we're most likely just going to overmatch or overpen this ship to death. My secondaries are shooting. They're not actually even doing damage. That's funny. Yep, overpens. Though if she angles, that might give me a few penetrations. Let's see. Yep, 3 pens. If you angle your ship against a ship that can still shoot through you, it actually increases the chance that you're going to have full penetrations rather than over penetrations. So in this case, if you are the Yubari, you actually want to be fully broadside to me, because that is when I will be able to least or do the least amount of damage to you if I'm using armor piercing. I'm just gonna switch to explosive now. If you go broadside, it'll just overpen, but if you give me any kind of angle, I have the entire length of the ship to shoot through, which will arm the shells, and therefore, as you saw in that last shot, I was actually able to citadel her and sink her. Alright, now, the ship does terrible against battleships, or destroyers. So, let's see what I can do here. That one was pretty much just a close range shotgun shot. And that's the only reason why I was able to get her. But on a one-on-one, as you can see, your gun turret rotation is not very suited for fast firing attacks or destroyers. Let's see if we can finish up this Karlsruhe. Close. And then we have the New York, Minikaze, that Karlsruhe, and then the Hosho? Yeah, Hosho. Why is that still alive? It should be sunk by now. Come on. Alright, we finally have our guns around. Let's take a shot at the Minikaze. I'm going to switch back to... Oh wow, that's a lot of lead. Yeah, we hit her though. Switching back to armor piercing for the New York. Though it's in the smoke screen right now. Why is that cruiser still alive? That's hilarious, actually. Alright, so the cruiser finally goes down. So let's go through the nose of this New York to show you just how the armor works from the bow. And as you can see, half ricochet, but half still went through the nose. Alright, so we still have a nose-on profile for this New York, but that's alright, as we've already demonstrated, I can go right through the nose. Even split of ricochets and penetrations. Go gadget secondaries, even though they're not actually going to do anything. And they just can't even hit the ship to begin with. That's fine. Torpedoes against the New York on our side. And let's see if we can finish it up. There we go. I'm going to switch back to high explosive because it's a very lightly armored carrier that can be citadeled with high explosive shells. I really don't need armor piercing. Well, there's also still a Minikaze. Alright, I'll just soak up the torpedo, it's fine. Now let's see if we can take out this Minikaze, or at least damage her some more. Hey, we got her. And a flooding. Let's fix that. Alright, so let's start our slow meander over this way. Our slow migration. We'll cap the base before we actually leave it, so that helps us as well. And you just keep waiting. This is all you can do. Like I said, lower tier battleships are very, very slow, at least in the American branch. So, Wyoming, New York, New Mexico, and Colorado all have pretty slow speeds. It's not until North Carolina that you actually are able to get past 21 knots without speed buffs. The added bonus, though, is that the slower speeds means you can actually turn quite easily. Alright, let's see if we can get a fire so we can decrease the amount of torpedoes we have to dodge here. Nope. So our repair is almost up as well as our heal. So even if we do get a flooding, we should be able to take, yeah, there we go, care of it relatively soon. Hey, we got a fire now. Awesome. But if our host shell gets a flooding, she'll repair the flooding and therefore the fire, and we'll be able to send another strike out to us. So let's see, does the fire go away? No, the fire does not go away, so she did not get a flooding. And therefore that means we can finish her up with this next salvo. And there we go. So let's see how we did. 99,600 damage, 6 ships sunk, 59 shells, 5 aircraft shot down, 1 citadel, 7 fires, 1 capped base, 3 secondary hits, 4,500 base XP. A lot of damage was in armor piercing, some was in high explosive, very little was in fire and floods, and barely anything in secondaries. We were able to knock down 5 aircraft out of Hosho, which only has like 30 aircraft, I think, or so. So a pretty significant chunk, but like I said, that didn't stop the carrier from landing many torpedo hits on me and causing floodings. Secondaries, as you saw, were practically worthless, if not completely useless. Guns themselves, as you can see, the armor piercing was very effective against battleships, even battle tanking battleships, at least New York's. And high explosive, I actually haven't used high explosive that much on New York, but in this case, there was a good mix. So using it against cruisers and carriers and destroyers, you're gonna want to use high explosive. There's a few cases where armor piercing may be good against cruisers, but at this tier, they're just so lightly armored that it's just gonna go right through the ship. And then speed, you're very slow, but you have a kind of a advantage at being slow because you are able to turn very quickly. So you may not be able to dodge carrier launched torpedoes, but if you know that destroyer or cruiser launched torpedoes are on their way, you have a slightly better chance at dodging them if you can turn quick enough. The ship is not terrible. Like I said, I just don't play her that often. And I prefer Congo itself because I have that speed advantage. I can get where I need to be. I have the range. I can shoot anywhere I need to. I have the gun rotation, so I'm not sitting for a minute to a minute and a half waiting for my guns to turn around. To me, like I said, Congo is just a better ship, but she does not have the same amount of firepower that New York has. So New York is kind of unmatched in that regard. With that, I will wrap up today's video. If you liked the video, make sure you like and subscribe for further content. And join me tomorrow while we go over New Mexico, which is actually a really, really powerful ship if you know how to play her right. So with that, thank you for watching and have a good day.